This lesson will talk about the infrastructure development and acquisition practices. Now, the physical architecture analysis, the definition of a new one, and the necessary roadmap to move from one to the other is a critical task for an IT department. The impact that this process has is not only economic, but also technological. You should have considerations about the training, the installation issues, and the total cost of ownership as a part of what you look at. To be able to support the migration to a new technical architecture, you should look at some of the following goals. Number one, was there an existing analysis of the architecture as it is today? Is there a design for the new architecture that takes into account the existing architecture and any existing constraints or requirements, such as cost reduction, increased functionality, having as minimal an impact as possible, any security and confidentiality issues, and is there a roadmap for the migration to the new architecture? Now, the analysis of these goals are going to result in documents and drawings to describe the reference infrastructure that's going to be used to begin the starting of the implementation. It is also necessary to plan the coexistence of the old systems to avoid possible mistakes during the installation. Now, your solution to this migration must make sure that you're in alignment, or that there is an alignment of the information communication technologies with the corporate standards. You need to provide the appropriate levels of security, especially during these migrations. You have to make sure that you can integrate with your current IT systems. Make sure that you're following or at least considering the current IT industry trends. Make sure that it's cost-effective and that you're going to have good cost-effective results, as well as a good day-to-day operational support during this migration. Remember, the goals, one of the goals of this migration is that you want to also make sure you can maximize your return on investment. So as we look at these project phases for your physical architecture analysis, as we said, it begins with a review of the existing architecture. Now, obviously, this process is starting with a view of this existing architecture, and it's usually followed by a workshop that would contain members who are going to be directly impacted by the physical architecture. After reviewing the existing architecture analysis, then you're going to start the design of the actual physical architecture, and that's at least the part that should start immediately afterwards. Now, with the first physical architecture design in hand, you should have functional requirements, and in fact they should be composed and they should be documented. With the draft functional requirements written, the vendor selection process can then proceed, which can often be done sometimes in parallel to the draft creation. Now, if what I'm saying here you're trying to follow, where are we going? Remember, in a nutshell, look at what you got. You want to talk to the people that are going to be affected by what you're going to change. From that, you're going to begin to create the new physical architecture, and in that process, you're going to have a list of requirements. What is your goal to get there? And it's that information that's going to help you in deciding what vendor supplies the equipment you need. Now, from that point, we've got the draft functional requirements. And we're going to use that to create the functional requirements document. And that's kind of the last checkpoint of the process before you begin to size and do a proof of concept. Now, a proof of concept is a recommendation that you want to prove the selected hardware and software that you've chosen is going to meet the expectations, including your security requirements. To increase the quality of the results, you should use a phased approach to fit the whole puzzle together. And it's during these phases that the components are going to be fit together. So the first one is your procurement phase. During this phase, the communication process should be established with the analysis project to get an overview of the chosen solution. We have to look at the delivery time. There should be a delivery plan. It should be developed, and this phase can, of course, overlap with other parts of the procurement phase. We also have the installation plan. Now, this phase should be developed in cooperation with all of the affected parties. And that's really true because this phase, you need to inform people, let them know when things are going to be put in, when they're going to be available, and whether or not you're replacing something which could drastically change what they're doing. You also want an installation test plan. Based on the known dependencies of the installation plan, you're going to make a test plan.